All right, so buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into a mystery that has captivated people for centuries. We're talking about the Count of Saint Germain.
The Count of Saint Germain, yeah.
We've got letters, memoirs, historical accounts, all sorts of stuff. And let me tell you, the stories are wild.
It's incredible how a figure from the 1700s, I mean, we're talking the 18th century, can still be the subject of so much speculation and debate.
Yeah, it's like he's reached almost mythical status.
Right. I mean, what we do know is that he was a prominent figure in European society, at least from 1743 to 1784.
Okay.
But his birth date, his origins, completely shrouded in mystery.
He's like this historical phantom.
Yeah.
Just appearing out of nowhere,
Yeah.
fully formed, with like a violin in one hand and a philosopher's stone in the other.
Well, maybe not a philosopher's stone, but certainly a knack for alchemy.
Oh, we'll get to the alchemy, don't you worry. But
Yeah.
first, can we talk about the aliases? The guy had more aliases than a spy novel.
Oh, yeah, the aliases, Marquis de Montfort, Chevalier Schooning, the list goes on and on.
Seriously, was he running from something? Or did he just enjoy messing with people?
Honestly, that's part of what makes him so intriguing, right? This deliberate obfuscation. He clearly wanted to control the narrative.
And he did a pretty good job of it, too. So let's try and piece together what we can from the historical record. We know he first pops up in London in 1743, and suddenly this guy's dazzling everyone with his musical talent.
London was the place to be in the 18th century, and musical talent was a surefire way to gain access to elite circles.
And he wasn't just playing a little lute in the corner.
No, we're talking composing operas, playing the violin like a virtuoso.
But his talents didn't stop at music, right?
Right.
I mean, the guy was fluent in what, a dozen languages?
Nearly a dozen, including Chinese.
Chinese? I mean, come on. How do you even learn Chinese back then?
It's incredible. And then there's his knowledge of history. I mean, people describe it as almost encyclopedic.
Oh, yeah. And he could paint. He was apparently a skilled swordsman.
Yeah.
And, are you ready for this?
I think so. Go on.
He was an alchemist.
Of course. I mean,
Yep.
That's the real hook, isn't it?
It's like he was straight out of a fantasy novel. A multi-talented, multilingual, time-traveling. Well, maybe not time-traveling,
Right.
but you get the idea.
Right. But we have to remember, alchemy back then wasn't just some fringe pursuit. It was a blend of science, philosophy, and mysticism.
Yeah, it's a legitimate field of study, at least for some.
Mhm.
So we have this mysterious, multi-talented alchemist with a penchant for aliases and a past shrouded in secrecy.
Right.
How does a guy like that suddenly become a favorite in the French royal court? I mean, how did he even get in there?
Well, the French court was quite the scene back then, full of intrigue and power plays. And Madame de Pompadour, King Louis XV's mistress, she was fascinated by the arts and sciences, including alchemy.
Uh-huh.
So Count, with his charm and his, well, some sources say genuinely impressive alchemical skills, he quickly won her over.
And that was it. That's all it took. One charming alchemist and boom, you're in with the king.
Well, he was undeniably charismatic, and the French court was obsessed with the exotic and mysterious. He fit right in.
Okay, so let's talk about the exotic eating habits of our mysterious Count. The sources mention that he was never ever seen eating or drinking in public.
Ah, yes, the mysterious eating habits.
What was the deal with that?
Well, the Count claimed to subsist solely on this special oatmeal concoction that he prepared himself.
Yeah.
In private, of course. And of course, there was the ever-present vial of liquid he carried with him, always close at hand.
The mysterious vial. People whispered it contained the elixir of life, the legendary potion of immortality. I mean, come on, it's right out of a myth. And some people even claim he was centuries old. Did he really live that long?
Well, the elixir of life was a central concept in alchemical tradition. It's interesting to think about, though, isn't it? Even today, the idea of immortality, or at least radical life extension, it fascinates us. I mean, just look at the billionaires pouring money into anti-aging research.
Yeah, like they're modern-day alchemists, searching for their own version of the elixir. But back to the Count. It's not just the immortality thing that's strange. It's the timing of his appearances. He pops up in Russia just before Catherine the Great takes the throne. He warns Marie Antoinette about the French Revolution. It's like he was involved in all these major historical events.
There's definitely a temptation to see him as some kind of puppet master orchestrating events from behind the scenes.
Right.
But we have to be careful. We can't just assume he was pulling all the strings.
Yeah.
While there is some evidence, like a letter from someone close to Catherine the Great that mentions his role in the revolution, it's hard to separate fact from fiction.
Yeah, it's like trying to catch smoke. So how do we even begin to unravel a figure like this? On the one hand, brilliant, talented, a master of so many disciplines. On the other, these whispers of secret societies, occult connections, supernatural powers.
And those whispers, well, those are exactly what we're going to explore next. The Count's alleged involvement with groups like the Rosicrucians and the Freemasons, it adds a whole new layer of intrigue to his already fascinating story.
Oh, this is where things get really interesting.
It does, doesn't it? The Rosicrucians, man, what a group. They claim to have all this ancient wisdom, alchemical knowledge passed down from ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt, wow. So what did they believe in? What were they all about?
Oh, they were all about symbolism, hidden meanings. They believed in this sort of spiritual alchemy, using symbols and rituals to transform themselves and the world around them. And some even believed they held the key to immortality.
Just like our friend the Count.
Exactly. You see the connection.
I do. But was he actually a Rosicrucian? I mean, is there any proof?
Well, as you can imagine, with secret societies, direct evidence is pretty hard to come by.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there are some interesting links. For example, Max Heindel, he was a big Rosicrucian author, and he claimed that the Count was a reincarnation of Christian Rosenkreuz.
Whoa, wait, reincarnation. Who's Christian Rosenkreuz?
Oh, just the legendary founder of the Rosicrucians.
Okay, now we're getting into some serious mystical territory. What about the Freemasons? Weren't they big on secrets too? Any connection there?
The Freemasons, oh, absolutely. They were a powerful network back then, lodges all over Europe. And guess what? There are records that list the Count as a representative at a Masonic convention in 1785.
Hold on. 1785? But I thought he died in 1784.
Ah, yes. The death that may not have been a death. The details surrounding his passing are, well, let's just say they're a little fuzzy.
Okay, so spill the tea. What's the official story? How did he supposedly die?
The official account says he died of pneumonia at the home of Prince Charles of Hesse-Kassel.
Okay.
But here's the strange part. When they went through his belongings, they found practically nothing of value.
Really?
No jewels, no gold, not even his precious violin.
That's pretty suspicious. Maybe he staged his own death, got tired of the royal life and decided to disappear.
It's a theory. And it's fueled by all these reported sightings of him after his supposed death.
Wait, people saw him after he died?
Yep. The Countess Adhémar, the woman who introduced him to Marie Antoinette, she claimed to have seen him multiple times after 1784.
So was she seeing a ghost? Or did the Count actually manage to fake his own death and live for centuries? It's like, where do you even draw the line with this guy?
That's the challenge, isn't it? And it's what keeps us coming back to his story. It takes us to the edge of what we think is possible, makes us question everything we thought we knew.
Okay, I'm hooked. Take us deeper.
Deeper it is. Now, buckle up, because this is where we dive into the Count's connection to Theosophy.
Theosophy. Isn't that the group that believes in those super-evolved beings, the masters of ancient wisdom, the ones guiding humanity from behind the scenes?
You got it. And guess what? Theosophists believe that the Count of Saint Germain is one of these masters, a being with incredible knowledge and abilities who has lived for centuries.
No way. So they actually believe he's still alive today. Like maybe chilling in some secret Himalayan monastery.
Well, not exactly. Theosophy teaches that these masters have extended lifespans, but they're not truly immortal.
Okay.
Even Blavatsky, one of the founders of Theosophy, she said that none of them have lived for 1,000 years, although some might live much longer than we consider a normal lifespan.
So if he's not sipping immortality tea in Tibet, who was he really? If we leave the supernatural aside, is there any realistic explanation for who this guy was, where he came from?
The most convincing theory, and the one with the most historical support, is that he was the hidden son of Prince Francis Rákóczi II of Transylvania.
Whoa, hold up. A hidden prince. That's a plot twist I did not see coming. But why all the secrecy? If he was just a prince's son, why create this whole mysterious persona?
Politics, my friend. Hiding the prince's son would have protected him from all the turmoil going on in Transylvania at the time. It would explain his education, his wealth, his connections.
But didn't he actually confess this to Prince Charles on his deathbed?
Well, here's the thing. We have to remember who we're dealing with.
Right.
This is the Count of Saint Germain, a master of deception. He built his entire life on creating and manipulating his own image.
Sure.
So even this seemingly believable explanation, this deathbed confession, it could all be just another part of his carefully crafted facade.
So even his confession could be a lie. Man, this guy was committed to the bit. But I guess that's what makes him so fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can never really know the truth.
Exactly. He embodies this allure of the unknown, the idea that there are secrets out there just waiting to be discovered. Maybe that's why his story still resonates with us, all these centuries later.
Yeah, it's like he speaks to this deep-seated desire for mystery, for the extraordinary, the possibility that there's more to reality than we think.
Right.
I mean, I have to admit, there's a part of me that kind of wants to believe the wilder stories. The alchemist who cracked the code of immortality, the guy whispering prophecies of revolution in the ears of royalty. It's just, well, it's a lot more exciting than the hidden prince theory.
I get it. But even if we strip away all the fantastical stuff, the supernatural, he was still an incredible person, mastered all these different skills, navigated these complex social circles, left behind this legacy that people are still talking about.
So what's the takeaway here? What do we learn from this deep dive into the world of the Count of Saint Germain?
I think it reminds us that history isn't always black and white. There are always going to be gaps in the story, mysteries that we may never fully solve.
Right.
And sometimes embracing that unknown, that possibility of the extraordinary, it can be just as rewarding as finding all the answers.
It's like a reminder that the world is a lot stranger and more amazing than we often give it credit for.
Yeah.
Maybe there really are secret societies out there, ancient wisdom, maybe even a few folks who figured out how to live a really long time.
Maybe. But even if we leave all the fantastical stuff aside, I think there are some valuable lessons we can take from his story.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It teaches us about self-invention, the power of mystery, and the importance of critical thinking, especially in a world where fact and fiction are so often blended together.
It's a good reminder to never take things at face value, to always dig a little deeper, and to stay open to the unexpected.
Exactly. And I think that's a pretty good note to end on, our deep dive into the enigmatic world of the Count of Saint Germain.
So if the Count were alive today, what do you think he'd be up to? Would he be a tech CEO pouring money into life extension research? A shadowy figure influencing global events? Or maybe just a really, really good con artist? Something to think about. Until next time, keep searching, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.